beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Enough of that. We don't need Christmas, do we, at this stage? But we're going to talk about it. We may have just entered an amber extreme heat warning, so it might feel a long way off, but we're thinking now about autumn. We're thinking about the countdown to Christmas, and we're talking about that time of year as there won't be, apparently, a big Christmas light switch on event in Guildford this year. Let's find out more. We can talk to our local democracy reporter, 𝗚𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗍𝗂. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mark.
What exactly has happened?
Well, as you say, it's very strange to talk about Christmas in August, isn't it? But here we are. A few days ago, we had a statement released by Guildford Borough Council Cllr outlining the plans for Christmas celebrations this year in Guildford, so marking the start of the festive period over a long weekend in November with markets, family activities, performances and Christmas lights throughout the town. But as you mentioned, no Christmas lights switch-on event.
And the question is then, why not?
Really, it all comes down to money. So you might remember, we haven't had one of these events for the last 2 years because of coronavirus restrictions. Previous to that, we were seeing sort of more than 7,000 people crammed into the high street. And the leader says that the Christmas budget as a whole has been kept the same, but that the cost of hiring an external company to hold this sort of switch-on event safely would be too high. So previously, as I said, we've had lots of people there. Due to the number of people that would be expected to attend, the council says that any crowd management and other measures that would be needed is not something they can afford at the moment.
OK, and what sort of reaction has there been to this?
Well, I mean, talking about the reaction that I've seen on social media, at least to this story, lots of, as you might expect, bar humbug, people saying that they've been attending this really popular family event for many years. But then also you do see people saying, the council can't really win. They face criticism if they spend unnecessarily when so many people are struggling, but people really do hate seeing events like this being axed.
All right, Emily, thank you for the background there. 𝗚𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗍𝗂, our local democracy reporter. Let's hear then from Guildford Borough Council. Joss Bigmore is the leader and is with me. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mark.
Thanks for being with us. Are you cancelling Christmas?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I share your, I don't know, surprise that we're discussing this in August. But no, we're absolutely not. As Emily correctly pointed out, we're still have a budget to spend nearly £60,000 on Christmas celebrations. But unfortunately, the Thursday night switch-on event just became too big. And the 2019 event was assessed by an industry expert, and it came up with a lot of recommendations that meant it would cost a significant sum of money to run the same event with crowd control people, perhaps barriers, and that may even detract from what made that event special. So we've decided to spread the event over 3 days, lots more activities, but we won't be having something on the Thursday evening.
You've upset some people on this, haven't you? Angela Richardson, the town's MP, I remember seeing a tweet from her a few weeks ago where she said, shocked to hear that Guildford Borough Council are not doing the Christmas light switch on again this year. There has got to be a way to do this. People aren't happy because it's a kind of traditional thing to do in towns.
And the Christmas lights will still be switched on. So I appreciate there is issues. If Angela Richardson wants to give the council more money, then we're more than happy to put on the event on the Thursday night. But at the moment, I can't justify spending nearly £100,000 on a switch-on event.
Is there no way of making it a cheaper? Is there no way of making it a cheaper option? £100,000 seems an awful lot of money. Yes, I get you've got to do crowd control. Yes, you need a stage. Why does it take £100,000?
I'm not an industry safety expert, unfortunately, Mark, but we commission experts to tell us these things, and that's the recommendations that came from the report, and I can't ignore them. I'm relatively libertarian when it comes to these things, but if the council ignores a professional report, we're liable, for negligence if something were to happen in civil and criminal courts. I mean, the chief executive could be, if the worst things happen, can be personally liable for, corporate manslaughter. So, I mean, the council cannot ignore these reports. And given, the state of the country's finances, we cannot justify spending that money. However, what we are planning may well be better.
OK, so we'll talk about that in a moment. We will talk about what you're going to do instead. I'm just intrigued, though, because I do have images in my mind of Guildford Town Centre being absolutely rammed to the rafters and people having a great time and no safety issues. So I'm wondering what's changed.
Well, the fact there wasn't any safety issues is luck. I went to the Christmas lights. I enjoyed it a lot of times with my children. Anecdotally, and this was previous to me being a councillor, there were people in a state of distress in the crowd as well because they felt they couldn't get out. Obviously, the kind of topography of the high street, with the gimbals, the access is not easy, and it's a lot of people in a very constrained space. So, we have to bow to the expert's opinion in this case. I cannot ignore that report.
Okay, so is this money or is it safety?
We have spending the same amount of money as we've always spent on Christmas, nearly £60,000. So the money is the same. However, we do not have the extra money to counteract the increased safety measures that we would need and are recommended by this safety report.
Okay.
And the safety report we will hope to release. We may have to redact some parts of it, but we hope to release it by the end of the week. So by the end of today.
Because, again, I understand where you're coming from when safety is a priority and all that. I'm thinking of when, I've hosted lots of these in the past myself, been on stage, East Grinstead, a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, admittedly. It was absolutely rammed to the rafters in East Grinstead. People had a really great time. There was probably St John's ambulance there to help if anybody was feeling ill or whatever. But it just kind of worked. I remember looking out on the whole of East Grinstead thinking, gosh, there are thousands of people in front of me here, but everyone's having a jolly good time and we're celebrating the start of Christmas. It just feels like a bit of a shame. It
is a shame, but it's the world we're in, isn't it? There's health and safety considerations everywhere. I'm not sure about the geography of East Grinstead. Every place is different. I'm not sure whether East Grinstead has commissioned one of these reports because, you commission one of these reports, you probably know what you're going to get. So, this is where we are in Guildford, and we are going to provide something that is potentially a lot better than what it's going to replace.
All right. So what is that better thing you're offering then?
Please, the message is Christmas is not cancelled.
All right.
And be open-minded about what we are going to do.
What is that better thing you're offering?
Well, there's going to be a lot more fun family activities, music performances all day, interactive theatre, Christmas trees. The shopping centres are doing their own events as well. There's going to be an enhanced programme of markets through the period. So there's lots and lots of things. So it's going to be less intense, i.e. a 2-hour one-off event, and spread out a lot more with a lot more things, and hopefully a lot more inclusive for everybody in the borough.
Do you want our help? Because we'll come and help.
I've got a long list of helpers. The helpers are not the problem. So I think your colleague PG is very keen to help. So I don't want to get involved in the politics of who helps first.
Well, he works for us and we work with him. So it's fine. All I'm saying is that you want a really good celebration, and surely you want everybody involved. So that's really good news, isn't it?
Absolutely. We have a history of collaborating. PG's always been involved. Nick Wishner's always been involved. Experience Guildford's always been involved. And our intention is that everyone will be involved in the planning to make this go as well as possible.
Right, Joss Bigmore, thank you. Joss Bigmore, leader of Guildford Borough Council. Let's talk to Experience Guildford. One of their directors is Kevin Lorimer. Good morning to you, Kevin.
Good morning.
Is it good news that this is the end of the big switch on of the lights?
Well, it's a shame. I hope it's very temporary.
It doesn't sound like it, does it?
Well, the trouble with health and safety reports is you don't ignore them. And as Joss said, they had the report on their desk. You don't then just go ahead and do the event. It's too dangerous. It's a shame, without a shadow of doubt. But we are planning to do lots of stuff over a long weekend and to carry on promoting Guildford as the best place to come to eat and shop.
So you're quite happy overall with this decision because you're saying effectively the health and safety matters, which I understand, because of course health and safety matters. I'm just intrigued. Again, I use the example of East Grinstead. I could take you to Woking. I could take you to Godalming. Lots of towns will do Christmas light switch-ons and they don't have an issue with health and safety.
Yeah. Let's just be clear that I didn't say I was happy with it by any means. I think it's a great shame. But if you have a health and safety report that says this event is dangerous, you don't go ahead and hold the event again and wait to see if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I just wonder if every council around the country commissioned a health and safety report, whether we'd never see a Christmas light switch on again. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But Guildford is unique. It's got a lot of very narrow streets. It was a hugely successful event. We're victims of our own success in a way in Guildford. But the narrow streets, the topography, that led to where we've got to today. It is a shame, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And what we're going to do is say, right, that's out the window. What are we going to do to keep Guildford trucking?
All right. And just in terms of the countdown to Christmas, your retailers, the people you work with, are they feeling buoyant, confident?
Yeah, Guildford is in a good place. They're a lot of them are very full of beans about retail at the moment.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Kevin.
Happy Christmas to you.
Good to speak to you. Kevin 𝗚𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗱𝗳, one of the directors